Perfect. So, like I said before, if you want to go off and turn your camera on, you can. You can leave it off the way it is now. That is perfect. Either way is fine with us. We won't hold it against you. But we do have plenty of material today. If you guys haven't seen the agenda, it is on that same registration page. You'll kind of see the topics that we're going to go through today. I'm sure Justin will do an overview. But just a quick introduction from me. I don't know if you know or have talked to me before. But if not, I am Aaron Gareca, and I am the Managing Director of Club and Facility Services here at the CGA. So I mainly do handicapping and course rating, but I also used to do Golf Genius support. Golf Genius kind of does that themselves now, but I occasionally still do that. But I am the Golf Genius contact here for the CGA, and along with me today, I have a couple of my co-workers as well. Maddie, if you would like to introduce yourself, please.
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Maddie Kern. I am the manager of club and facility services. So really everything to do with course rating and handicapping. I've been with the CGA for about 2 months now, which is pretty exciting. But yeah, just soaking it all in.
Yes. She's been a great addition to the team, and she has access to Golf Genius, but she is kind of where you guys are in learning as well. So trying to get her up to speed. And then we also have Kim. I don't know if she wants to say anything, but whenever you call the office, most likely you'll talk to one of us three. Kim, would you like to say a couple words? Maybe not. Oh, there she is.
I couldn't get it off unmute. Yes, I'm Kim Bussey. I'm manager of admin services. So I don't do a whole lot with Golf Genius, but I'm helping out more with tournaments and helping junior parents sign up for tournaments. So just want to get my knowledge of this better than it is.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you, Kim. And just a couple of housekeeping items today. So I will mute everyone. There will be plenty of chances and opportunities for questions along the way. I know Justin has a lot of stopping points just for questions like that. So please, if you wouldn't mind, either put in your question in the chat, or when we do ask for questions, you can unmute yourself and ask a question directly to Justin, just so we can kind of keep this schedule on time. And we have about 2 hours of material today, so we'll go ahead without further ado. Justin, the floor is yours.
All right, great. Thanks, Aaron, Maddie, Kim, pleasure. Hello, everyone. Justin Scott here. Some of you may have seen me in some of our other training sessions that I've done with the CGA over the past 3 or 4 years, maybe going on 5 years now. Some of you ladies may have attended the CGA Women's Business Summit. So thanks for attending today. We're going to be working in quote unquote a 102 training webinar. We're kind of moving above and beyond what we worked on a couple weeks ago with our 101 training, which got you comfortable with building a roster, creating pairings, generated printing material, scoring the event, and displaying those results on the portal or a TV display. We're going to go a little bit more in depth, get you a little bit more comfortable with some of the terminology that you may be experiencing or utilizing within a league environment. That's kind of what this will be tailored more towards. But that's not to say that you can't run any of the information or use any of the information that I'm going to be presenting within an event. So I am going to share my screen here. I will be moving back and forth from a PowerPoint to Golf Genius, so it won't be that difficult of a transition, but just so that you know, there will be a little bit of movement between the PowerPoint and getting into the software. As Aaron mentioned, if at any point in time you have a question regarding the topics that we're working on, feel free to type something in the chat. Aaron will certainly present those questions as he sees fit. And if you want to take yourself off mute and ask a question, that's great. If it gets a little bit too deep and we start to go off the rails a little bit, so to speak, we'll probably push that question towards the end, or I can certainly follow up with you at a later point in time. But as Aaron mentioned, plenty of time here. Content probably will take an hour and 15 minutes or so. It is in essence, a continuation of the Women's Business Summit advanced training, but we're going to slow down a little bit and take a little bit deeper dive into some of the features where we didn't quite get to do that at the Women's Summit. So if those of you ladies who were at the Women's Summit, some of this may be a repeat, but certainly repetition is always a good thing. Golf is a perfect example of getting better with repetition. So again, welcome. We are going to go over today's agenda. Get a quick introduction of myself. Won't take very long at all. We're going to look into Golf Hub and how that can hopefully benefit your facility. It's a new feature that's, well, it's not new anymore, but it's about 2 years in development now, or in that has been developed now, and we're starting to see some traction, not only with facilities, but associations. We're going to look into round signups, a great feature for those of you who run leagues. We're going to talk about some communication, some best practices on how we can communicate through Golf Genius. We're going to have a little deeper discussion on divisions, flights, and teams, because that can certainly be a little bit difficult to understand when to create a division, when to create a flight, where to create those divisions and flights. So hopefully that will give everyone a little bit better understanding as to what those two functions do and where to do them. Then we'll get into some multi-round tournaments that certainly sometimes give people some issues. Just want to make sure that everyone understands where those multi-round tournaments can be found, when we build them, how we build them, and why we build them. And then we'll hold some Q&A at the end, certainly anything that we discussed within the presentation, or if you have some specifics at your facility, we can certainly go into a little bit of Q&A. So we've got plenty of time here. We may give you a few minutes of your life back at the end. We'll just see how everything goes throughout the presentation. Quick introduction on myself. Again, my name is Justin Scott. I am actually, now I can change this. Nope, got 3 more days till I will become a 21-year PGA member. But I have been with the PGA for 20 years now. I've been with Golf Genius for 7 years now. Funny thing is, this is probably the longest tenure that I've ever worked with a company. As golf professionals, we certainly move around trying to advance ourselves. Well, some do, to other facilities, but I've worked on the support team for about 2 years, where I was answering those intercom tickets where you send in a ticket via the help tab. I was communicating with you via that channel. And then the last 5 years, I've been in account management for the Northwest United States and Western Canada. So happy to be in this role. It gives me a little bit more flexibility and I guess they call it that white glove treatment, where I can work with clubs to hopefully make them utilize Golf Genius in a more efficient manner. Just within my background within the golf industry, I've worked at multiple facilities, all the way from outside services up from an assistant professional up to a head professional. So for those of you professionals who are on the call, certainly know what you experience on a day-to-day basis. Tournament management isn't the only thing that you deal with. Some of you league managers, it may be, which is fine. But hopefully I can give you some tools to hopefully make your lives a little bit easier, whether you are behind the golf shop counter or you have another job and Golf Genius is quote unquote your part-time job for the leagues that you conduct. We're going to look into Golf Hub real quick. Again, this is a new feature that's been released within the last couple of years, starting to gain traction. And Golf Hub is just a way to try and promote your events and or leagues. We can promote these events via creating a digital flyer. And within these digital flyers, we can promote them on social media, via email blast, possibly through the CGA, which I will touch on as well. We can display event details so that we know, or so that your golfers know what they can expect or what they can observe or see what charity they are going to benefit from if they play in this particular event. With Golf Hub, we can build out registration or we can build out registration with payments. Now, a benefit of Golf Hub, for those of you who are on the TM Club platform, you did not have a registration option before Golf Hub was built out. Now you do, which is certainly what we feel is a benefit to try and reduce the friction between golfers sending in emails or filling out a Google form or building an Excel sheet, and then you have to upload that into your roster. But we didn't want to cannibalize the premium registration. So for those of you who are on TM Premium, you still have the option to build out your premium registration forms with custom field questions, different types of member or guest registration. So just know that whether you are on TM Club or TM Premium, you do have the ability to utilize the Golf Hub feature. I'm going to get into my account now here. And then we're going to look at Golf Hub. There are two different areas that you need to utilize, or you would need to use to build out a Golf Hub page. First, in your customer center. And again, this is a little bit different. For those of you who are league managers, you won't see this page. Normally, the facility would build this out on behalf of that particular club. And then you would build out your pages on an event by event level. So but those of you who are customer managers, who are professionals at your facility, to begin, under your directories and registrations tab, under My Golf Hub, is where we are going to build out your Club Hub page. This page is what is the landing page, and all of your events that are built are viewed underneath this particular hub page. So you'll want to certainly spend some time to add in your external website. Obviously, this will probably be your facility's website. We can fill in a description as to what your facility is all about. Maybe you have a mission statement. Maybe you have, you know, some nice verbiage that you put on your website that you want to populate into the description. Notice that it does populate and gets configured over here on the right-hand side into your hub. It's a little small over here, but you can certainly change the font and or the sizing of this description to make it a little bit larger, so it is a little bit easier to view. We have some settings that you're going to want to choose. We can certainly enable a map view, which is very beneficial due to, you know, the demographics of the Colorado area. You've got the Front Range, you've got the Mountain Range, you've got the Western Slope. You know, so we may want to enable the map view so that golfers can see where your facility is in relationship to where they may be living. We can certainly have some grouping as well. If we want to group by months, we can certainly build out all of your events and they are grouped by months. And then we have a default view as to which you want your default view to be, either tile, list, or map view. Probably an individual facility, you may just use your tile view. The CGA might use the map view so that they can promote all of the events that are going on within the state of Colorado. If you have one course, we may want to choose the course that you're using, and then golfers can view that scorecard. My apologies, this is very small, so I will certainly enlarge this in a moment so that you can see that a little bit better. And then we can certainly add sponsors and banners to your hub page. So if I want to change my banner to something a little bit different, I can certainly change my banner. If I wanted to show my Golf Genius banner on my hub page, I could certainly do so. Or if you have a banner that represents your facility, you would certainly choose that particular banner. Sponsor content is seen below the description. So maybe you have your facility's logo or some other sponsor content you want to populate into your hub, you can certainly do so. So we're going to build this on a one-time basis. And this is going to be your club hub, to where when we build out events, they are going to populate into this particular hub. One other thing I did forget to mention, we can certainly add in some logos, some banners, sponsors, and schedules by default, and they can be chosen when we build out your hub pages. So maybe you have a handful of banners that you want to try and upload. We can certainly choose those at any point in time. Maybe we have a number of different sponsors that we want to try and recognize in particular hub pages. We can just grab those as opposed to having to build them each time. And then schedules, maybe you do run an outing on your Monday outing, and we always have registration at 9, shotgun start at 10, banquets at 3, and awards at 4. We can always choose these schedules when we build out your hub page. So again, customer managers, golf professionals would build out this hub page. And then when you get into the event itself, under your apps tab, we're now going to create a golf hub page. And it's going to be very similar to what you saw in your My Hub. We certainly want to give it a title. We have the dates that get pulled from the rounds that have been added through the calendar tab. It is required to give a tournament name. I'm not sure I fully agree with that, but it is a requirement. But if you don't want to put a tournament name, you could just put a space in there and it would be recognized as a character. We can include the portal link over here on the right. It did show that, yes, more info shows. So if I want to go to the portal, I can certainly do so. We've got your golf course that we've selected. This one is for Common Ground. So this is going to show Common Ground's scorecard. If I want to see that, I could put in a description about what this league or event is all about, what it's going to be contained with, and then the scheduling. Do I want to use a template schedule, a new schedule, no schedule at all? Do I want to display some sponsor content? And do I want to display any type of banner? Maybe my banner template, or maybe a new banner that you want to bring over from your desktop can certainly be built out accordingly. So after we have all of this built, you can save this. And this is where I'm not going to get too deep into the registration portion. But for those of you with TM Club, we can add registration over on the right-hand side, and you can set permissions as to whether it's 1, 2, 3, or 4 golfers. Is it free registration? Are we going to charge registration with payments? If you do so, we would help you build a Stripe account, which is just a third-party credit card processor, so that those funds that are accepted upon registration move through Stripe, less their transaction fee directly into your checking account. So it's a great way to guarantee payment at the time of registration. I know all of us have had that experience where someone signs up for an event or a league, they no-show. Well, then we have that difficult conversation either with the outing coordinator and the club. Well, you booked these 4 people, they didn't show, I'm going to charge you. Well, they didn't show, I don't have this money. And then you kind of have that uncomfortable interaction that hopefully we can avoid by adding registration. Those of you on the club premium package, you would again always be able to use your registration center to build out registration and or add registration with payment. So a great way to try and utilize Golf Hub to build out your registrations. I would publish this page when I'm ready to publish it. This is great. I can now publish this page. It's now moved into my hub so that automatically there's nothing I need to do. I've built my hub. I've got it embedded in my website somewhere. That now automatically gets pushed into my hub, and it is available for selection for maybe it's only a digital flyer. Maybe it has registration. Maybe it has registration with payments. And then right here, I'm not a member of the CGA, but I have built out, let's say I am the CGA, and I want to push this to the Colorado Golf Association for promotion, which is another member benefit. The CGA has pushed, they've built their own hub page, and it allows you as a user to push your events not only to your hub, but also to the CGA. So after I have this published, and if I were to go to my hub page that I had previously built out, I've copied that to a clipboard. I've published that somewhere on my website or via social media. Now you can see that there is one event or league found at my facility at Common Ground. If I want to change the view, be like, well, you know what? I can certainly hover in and view this view this league. It's going to take me to the hub page that I built. And now if I had a description in there, if registration was open, I could certainly register. I can view the scorecard. I can be pushed to the portal. I've now gone from my hub into that specific hub page. And then what you can see with the Colorado Golf Association, what they have done is they have allowed all of these facilities the ability to aggregate their events and or leagues into their aggregated hub. So if I've just moved to the area and I don't really know anybody, but I would certainly like to play in a league, I could certainly look at one of these particular events. And yes, I want to be part of the Indian Tree Men's Club. But where is that? Well, that's in Arvada. I don't know where Arvada is. I actually do. But if I didn't, I could come into my map view, and then we could certainly view in on these. And now there's some events out on the western slope. There's a couple more here. And then I could certainly, I think this is where Indian Tree is. Here, right? Am I close? Yes. So then I could certainly view that league and possibly register for that league. There is one thing that we are working on, and I guess while you are on the call and the CGA is on the call, if a club has been manually added into an account, it won't have latitude and longitude within that particular account. So this is kind of something that we're working on. We're trying to get all facilities to upload their courses from CRD. One, so it will show on the Golf Hub, and I guess two, this is a plug for Aaron and the CGA. Within Golf Genius, if your club is not, or if your course is not WHS compliant from CRD, we will not be able to post those 10 through 17 hole scores because we don't have a TID associated with a round that is either 9 or 18 holes. So that may be something that get with your administrator, make sure that your course has been downloaded through CRD so that one, it shows up on the map view within the CGA's hub, and two, when posting scores of 10 through 17 holes, we will scale that and generate a differential for those for that particular round. So, again, Golf Hub, any questions on that before I move on? We do have a webinar, as you all know, within our knowledge base. I'm not going to go over this in great detail, but here are a ton of Golf Hub knowledge base articles, as well as if I were to type in Golf Hub webinar, we have about a 30-minute webinar to utilize Golf Hub. So we feel like it's a great feature to hopefully promote golf at your facility and throughout the associations and hopefully globally, just to try and grow the game, because that's what Golf Genius is about. That's what the CGA is about. And I have a feeling that probably would be what you would want within your league or your facility. Any questions on Golf Hub before we move into the next topic of round signups?
I did not see any questions on the chat line, but if you do have one, please feel free to unmute yourself now and ask away. All right, silence is golden.
Okay, great. Fantastic. I saw there were a few chats in there. Aaron, looks like you took care of those. Thanks, Beverly, for the congratulations. We'll move into round signups. Round signups deal more with a league environment. We don't really see them used within an event because in an event we consider everyone will normally be playing in the one or multiple rounds of that event. But most of you probably are working within a league or at least conduct leagues at your facility. So we're going to talk about the round sign-up functionality. The round signups gives us the ability to send out round invites asking if a golfer would like to participate in a round. We can do it automatically where we send this out on behalf of that particular league at a particular point in time on a particular day. We can send it out manually, where with just a click of a button, the invites get sent out manually. We can add round information to this invite if we need to add some information regarding what that particular round is going to entail. And then we can configure the email. This kind of gets into the communication piece. So it'll kind of be round signups and communication will kind of overlap a little bit, where we can configure the email so that is tailored to what you want to send to your golfers. So I will go into my Golf Genius account again. Let me get rid of some of these tabs. Let me get back to my league that we had set up. Normally within a league, you have X number of golfers within your league that have been built through your league roster. Now, maybe you've used Golf Hub to build this roster, which would be great. You know, I've set this up to where I don't want to have to manually add these golfers to the league, and I don't want to have to accept a check or cash or try and figure out, you know, a Zelle or a Venmo payment. We could have gone through premium or TM Club registration to build this roster. But within a league, as we all know, not every golfer is going to play in every round. So we certainly need to build out this particular round roster. Let me get to my appropriate round. So we need to get to our round to where we need to build out this player roster. Now, I'm sure some of you in the past, as I've done in the past as well, I've got this sign up sheet in the back of the golf shop. And people come in and they go sign in on the back of the golf shop, or somebody is checking in for golf and they say, hey, can you sign me up for next week's league play? And you say, sure, no problem. But yet you're checking in an outing of 16 players. Oh, and you forget to sign that person up. They come to you a week later. Well, I told you to sign me up. Why didn't you? Well, I got busy, you know, with 100 other things that I was having to do. Or maybe you're a league administrator and you have them send you an email, and then you go and add players to the roster manually. Certainly fine. That's all doable. But that is just a time-consuming process that hopefully with round signups will be able to eliminate that extra work that you would be performing with that manual process. The easiest thing that I like to do within round signups is to select an open and close date when we want to send out these round signups. So if I were to schedule sign up, open and close, X number of days before that particular round at X number of time, and X days at X time, we would open and close signups. So these dates have come and gone, so we wouldn't open up signups for these. This was back when I was at the summit. But let's say we want to open, you know, our member guest sign up. And let's say that this isn't part of our club championship, but we want to open up, you know, a different round. We can certainly choose this. So actually a good example is for my club championship, even though the 20th has passed, I wouldn't want to open up round signups for the 27th and the 3rd, because based off of my response for the 20th would be acknowledging that I want to play in all 3 rounds. So you can certainly choose as many rounds as you would like to have signups open on a particular time and date. And if those times and dates needs to differ, certainly you would set up different rules for when those would open. Well, let's just say, you know, I want all of my rounds from 5 through 8 to open up 7 days ahead of time. Maybe we'll go at 8 o'clock in the morning, and then I'm going to give them till 5 p.m. The night before. So if I set these parameters and if I click go, just know that on 3/27 at 8 a.m., signups are going to automatically open. 4/2, they're automatically going to close. And also what I had done is I had chosen to automatically send an invite to the players with a valid email address. So all of my players with a valid email address 7 days ahead of time would get an email asking if they would like to play in this particular round. And then they could choose, yes, I'm playing, no, I'm not playing. The email that is sent, we'll get into that in just a moment, but let's just kind of show you what that would look like if we were to open round signups. Let's open round signups. Let me just add another round real quick. So we're going to get into that one. So let's say this is April 1st, not May 1st. Actually, we can change it. Round signups have been sent out automatically, or let's say let's go look into the manual process. I can also go into my rounds tab. This will default to April 1st once it updates. But let's say we don't want to use that automatic round signups. That's fine. Some people like to do it manually. I can certainly do a manual process as well, where under my rounds tab, I can certainly open free signups as well if I would like to. So if I say, yes, I'm going to open free signups, what do I want to do? Let me change this, sorry. Normally your players are all going to be not attending by default. So if all of these are set to not attending, and then I send out these invitations, these golfers are going to be sent a round invite asking them if they would like to play on this particular round. Here is the messaging that I can add. You know, we can, anything you want. Maybe you have a lot of information that you want to put into this round invitation message. You can certainly do so. You don't have to put anything in there. But if I were to send that, these round invites are now going to be sent to those golfers. And the invitations with at least someone with a valid email address. I'm the only one with a valid email address in here. So I will get an invite asking if I would like to play in this particular round. Now, you may have some golfers who don't want to answer an email, or who, you know, give you some pushback about this operation. That's not to say that you still can't come in and add players manually to the round player roster. Just so that you know, you may have some people who are reluctant with technology, or just for whatever reason, maybe they're in the golf shop and they just know that the round is open and they just want you to go ahead and add them in. You know, you can certainly still add them manually if that is an option for you there. Maybe someone doesn't look at their email, but they know that round signups are open. You don't have to always answer the email, and we'll check here in a minute. It takes a little bit for that email to go through, so I'll check my email in here in just a moment. But also golfers can access the portal. Maybe we've given them access to the portal via GGID, or via URL link, or via an email and password registration. They can always access the portal and they can choose their name from a drop down, where my Monday, April 1st round is open for signups. You know, Barb could choose her name from the drop down. Yes, I want to sign up. I'm going to confirm my registration. And then, you know what? I need to send a message to the manager letting them know that I need to play early. You know, again, something that now you don't have to deal with an email back and forth, letting Barb know, okay, Barb, I got your email. Yep, I know that you need to play early. Barb has now sent a message to the manager letting that particular person or that manager know that that they need to play early. Because I impersonated Barb, I'm going to get signed out as an admin. So my apologies. I'll need to sign back in real quick. I should have done that in incognito mode, so I didn't have to sign out, but just take me a second to get back in here. And now once you have seen what Barb's intent was, on this April 1st round, you're now going to see that I am going to have one player confirmed. Oh, 3 players confirmed. I confirmed those other 2 players manually. And now I have a message from a member that now when I go to create my pairings, I know that Barb needs to play earlier. So what we've done either via automatically or manually has eliminated that back and forth between emails or communication or a phone call or a text message. And I also have a record of what Barb's request was. And if I need to reply to her via email, I certainly can. I can be like, yes, I got your request to play early. No problem. So let's see if I got the email. You can see here, I've now received my email. The description here is above, probably not the best description, but you can see that we have a description in here. I've been asked to participate in this particular round, and now I can accept or decline the information or the invitation through these buttons below. I'm not going to accept this because I would get logged out again. But you can see just as easily as that, I have now communicated with all of my golfers that yes, a round is open. Here's the invite email. Let me know if you're playing. Let me know if you're not playing. And then that builds out your roster based off of those golfers who have requested to play in that particular round. The emails that can be configured and customized are under your golfers tab, email configuration. Under round signups, when a golfer is invited to the round, this is what that email presented when I invited golfers to a particular league round. This is fully customizable. So if you don't like what we have built by default, you can certainly add as much or as little information to the body of this email. You can add other data fields that are over here on the right-hand side. I've used some of these data fields quite a bit. I've used some of these data fields never. Just kind of depends on if you need to use them or not. We can certainly add them to the body of this email, and we would recognize the data field if that information was in the particular player's profile. And obviously we can customize this invitation and or confirmation of signing up for a round. So you can see in my email configurations for my round signups, there are quite a few that you may utilize. Some of these are for premium features. For TM Club, there are a few less. But as you know, you can certainly always customize these round signups. And if for whatever reason you don't want them to get a confirmation email, I don't know why you would not want them to get a confirmation email, but you can always turn that from on to off. And if I sign up for a round and if I had this turned off, I would not receive that confirmation email. So hopefully you will start to utilize round signups. It's a great feature. Those who aren't using it, again, can't stress enough the time that it may save you from having to deal with those emails. I've got a guy that I play with on Friday. He still sends me an email. I try to tell him to use Golf Genius. He won't. And he spends half of his time answering emails. So any questions on round signups before we move into communication?
Hey, Justin, there was one from Kim. Any updates coming to the email editor, the line spacing make for a long email message?
I might need, that was Kim. Kim, can you expand on that question for me? And I'll get back into my account to see if we can't.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Aaron? Okay. I have a software background, first of all. And I don't know, I mean, obviously you let us pick colors and different fonts and size, etc. But it's like everything's like a 1.5 spacing. So when you're trying to get your email into, especially if our users are using a computer versus a phone, you know, you have to start scrolling way down because there's so much line spacing in there. It's like a 1.5 line spacing between every sentence. And I know that's a really stupid picky thing, but having come from my, see that after April 1, we got, you know, that's not just 1 line spacing, that's almost 2 line spacing. And
Okay,
you can't do that. I mean, that's a IT software development question. I would submit
Okay.
that from the field.
okay,
and Take a look at it.
okay, well, the spacing here, you know, so you're saying this is a half line space here?
It's at
Between
least
thank you
a
and,
space, well, that's a whole line, I would say.
okay. Well, this one here, we can certainly clean this up a little bit. Where if you came into when a golfer is invited into a round, we've let's see here, you might be right. I can get a little bit closer. We just
Wait, why
add,
did you do that? Go back.
I
How'd
just
you
hit,
do that?
I just hit delete.
But
Yep.
those are separate sentences. If it's not a separate sentence, if it's like a paragraph, it keeps going.
Okay, here,
And
okay, here, hang on.
the fast brown dog runs across the.
Yeah, it still kept it as on the
Okay,
next
I'll try
line.
it. I tried it a lot last year and could never get it to do it, but I'll play around with it. Maybe.
Okay,
there's
yeah,
no update.
let me know, because it looks like this one, it has a little bit extra spacing, but it looks like at least by getting rid of that space that we added in by default, it
Yeah,
kind of brought things in a little bit closer.
okay, I'll take a look at it.
Okay,
I
got
just-
it. Give it a shot and let me know
Okay.
what you come up with.
Okay,
Great, thanks for the question.
gotta stay away from those technology people.
That's all right. I am not a technology person. I'm just a golf pro who can work a software program. So on the back end, that is not my expertise, but I certainly appreciate those of you who have done this as a career.
And then we have one last one, Justin, for now regarding registration. Can I register all players by default, then have the players only opt out?
Yes, you can have round signups open. You could confirm all of the players. Now, you can't send them an email because they're already in the roster. But if I had all of my players confirmed ahead of time, now this would be something that we would have to communicate possibly via an email communication. I'm confirming all of my players, and if their intent is to say you need to opt out, and now that's the hard part because I have to take an action to opt out. But if we communicate with our players properly, and maybe we, fine them or giving them a warning, Barb is already signed up, but she would have to come to the portal and cancel her sign up. So if we confirm everyone, we know we're going to have 90% of our golfers play each week, but they would have to go to the portal, choose their name from the drop down, and cancel their sign up because we've already confirmed them. We're not going to send them an email invite because there is no invite needed because they've already been confirmed. But that may be something that we just confirm them, send them an email via the email composer, and give them directions as to what they need to do to cancel their registration or cancel their round sign up, pardon me.
Couldn't the administrator send out an email that says, I'm not playing, and then the administrator go in and just delete them from the roster for that week?
You could, but then again, what you're doing is you're putting more work on the administrator as opposed to putting the onus on the golfer. But you certainly could do that.
Yeah, you could just generate. I'm the guy that asked the question. You could just
Yep.
generate a template in your compose emails that says you're registered to play. If you're not playing, please go take yourself out.
Yep. Yes, sir.
Yeah, because my players all play 90 of them almost regularly, and I get a very small number that drop out.
Sure. Yep.
Okay.
That'd be a great option there. Yep. Just confirm them all. And then again, we give them the instructions or like you said, Kim, you could certainly be like, yep, contact me and I'll take you out. But then that is more work on the manager's part as opposed to making the player perform that action.
Depends on your.
Yeah, I get a regular
usage.
basis of both of them.
Yeah,
Depends on how you want to manage it, of course. I certainly understand the difference of managing both of them.
Thank you.
Yep, great. Great questions. Let's kind of looking pretty good here on time. Communication, just want to focus on a few things on communications, on how we can manage emails and or text messages. I'm going to kind of focus a little bit of both on TM and TM Premium, where we can manage emails, where we can compose emails, we can build templates. We can certainly check email delivery reports. We can check the 10-day history of your players. The suppressions, we now give you the ability to check if golfers have been placed on a suppression list. Not much we can really do on our behalf because some email providers see a long list of emails sent out as spam, so they may be suppressed, but there are some ways that we can hopefully prevent that in the future. We talked about the email configuration already, won't get into that, and we'll look at text messaging. So within the master roster, golfers tab, or rounds tab, we can certainly communicate with all or a subset of our golfers. The master roster, we're dealing again with our entire master roster. Your golfers tab, we are dealing with the particular league or event roster. And then the round roster, we are now dealing with the players in that particular round roster. So let's say we are trying to communicate with a subset of golfers in a round, we would certainly want to communicate within that round, as opposed to if we need to get a general message to our entire league or event roster, we would work within the golfers tab. All of this can be found under manage emails and or manage text messages. When managing your emails, we can certainly check the email delivery report. This is a great one to see if emails have been sent and or opened. And then if you have a golfer who says, you know what, I'm not receiving an email, we can always check for errors. And you would get a list of golfers with errors, and they'll more or less bounced or suppressed by the email provider. There are a number of different messages that are given. But if you do find errors in your email delivery report, we now used to have to call Golf Genius and be like, hey, this person isn't getting an email. But now you can go to your email suppressions and you can enter in that particular email to see if they're on the suppression list. And if they are, you can take them off. And then they will certainly, hopefully, receive emails again. But as you can see, let me see if I can't. We certainly recommend golfers to add no reply at golfgenius.com to their safe sender list, so that when an email comes from Golf Genius again and it has no reply.com as the sender, that will be recognized as either a contact or a safe sender, and hopefully your players will receive that email and we won't have to take them off the suppression list again. But that is something that you'll want to check within your email delivery report. Check the errors, or maybe you get an email from a woman saying, or a man, hey, I'm not getting my emails. You don't have to check the delivery report. You can just come into the suppression tab and determine if those golfers are on the suppression list or not. We keep a 10-day history of emails, so you can certainly view that 10-day history report to see if someone has received an email within the last 10 days, if they've opened that email, and if they have clicked on that email. So I opened it. It'll kind of show me when I opened up that email. So this is just a good way for you as a league manager or a customer manager, just to try and make sure that your players are receiving the proper communication. Composing emails. You know, certainly as Dan mentioned, hey, I want to send out a composed email letting golfers know what they need to do if in fact they need to cancel their round registration. So again, we can build a subject line within the message. We can use data fields on the right-hand side. And if this is something that we need to use over and over, which we'll get to here in a moment, we can certainly save that as a template and then reuse it for other events or other leagues. This crosses not only the league that you're in, it is contained within the entire platform as a template that can be used. Some of the templates that you may want to use, Golfers tab may be a welcome that you're going to use year to year for a league or year to year for an event. Most of the templates that I see built are within the Rounds tab under either manage emails or manage text messages. I'm just going to get into one that I've already built. Tee times. Maybe we want to send out a customized email letting a golfer know what their tee time is. And we want to use that for League A, B, and C, and we want to use it for all of our events. We can build out a template that has all of the data field contained for that particular league and the information we need to get out. So you can see here that I have added some information, some data fields, first name, just a nice salutation or a nice thank you for playing in a particular league. We can give them the tee time for their round date, what their tee time is. We can certainly choose the course. Maybe you want course, maybe not. Maybe a 36-hole facility and you need to let them know what course they're playing on. We can add in a tee data field. For those of you who have premium and want to use GGIDs for live mobile scoring, maybe we add in the foursome GGID. Possibly we want to let them know who the other players in the pairing group are. You know, I'm playing with Ken and Dan, and I'm always the last one to the first tee because I'm hitting balls on the range. Well, they can know that, and they'll be like, well, we're playing with Justin again. We better let him know that, hey, your tee time's at 11:30. Why don't you make, you know, plan accordingly so that you're not running to the tee at 11:32. Or, hey, I'm playing with Justin this week. This is going to be a great round. So we can certainly put information that's contained within the pairings into this message. And then when we view this preview, you know, this was what we done. And as you said, Kim, this is probably a lot going on here. We may want to make that a little bit smaller, not space it out so it does appear so you don't have to scroll down. But you can see that this is the configured email based off of the data fields that I've pulled over that are contained within an event or league. If I've got this saved as a template and I want to send it out, sorry for the scrolling. If I want to send it just to my attending roster, looks like I only have one recipient in there. This must be the, oh, I only have one email. I'm the only one with an email address. So that's why it's one recipient. But then that would certainly send it to myself. And I could get that information ahead of time so that I know what to expect when I show up to the golf course. So composing emails and then saving those email templates is another great time saver so that you don't have to come in and build out the same template over and over and over. And if I need to make some slight modifications, fine. I can certainly build an email from a template and I can save that as a new template if I need to. So I'm not corrupting my initial composed email. Maybe I'm building something different that I need to use with additional information or less information. Text messaging, it works just the same. With text messaging, if I'm building a text message, all the data fields are the same. However, within an email, you can put in links. Well, you can put in links in a text message. You can put in photos. You know, you can add source code. But with a text message, it's a little less customizable because we are just putting text into the message box that goes out to your golfers. Those of you who are on premium, you do need an email template and a text message template. They don't cross over between one another. So you may need to build the same thing twice, but after you build it, save it as a template. Certainly is there for you to use through the duration of your subscription. Any questions regarding communication? You know, that was just a quick, brief one just on how to use it, where to use it, when to use it. But if anyone has any questions, concerns, or comments regarding communication, take a few minutes to answer any of those questions.
And this is Dan. Can I
Okay,
ask a
looks
quick
like
one?
we have a couple here. First one's from Gina. Question on the suppression list. She has 2 members that were not getting emails and found out that they were over the limit on their Hotmail accounts and could no longer receive emails. Is a suppression option going to resolve the issue?
No idea there. If they're over the limit, I'm saying regardless if they're on the suppression list or not, they've reached a maximum amount of emails that their provider is allowing them to receive. So I would say that may be a question for their email provider to
Yeah.
determine how to act on that.
Yeah,
request.
Justin, I had to reach back out to both of them and I gave them 2 options. Either change your email, give me another email address, or clean it up.
Right. Yep. Exactly. Yep.
Yep. I think those would be the only 2 options there.
Okay, I
unfortunately.
just wanted to make sure that the suppression wasn't an alternative that I could actually address, but I figured that was probably the answer. Thank you.
Yep. Yep. You're welcome.
Okay, next up we have Barbara. Can you also add the flight on the tea time email?
I don't believe, as of now, I don't believe division and or flight is a data field that we can add to a composed email. Nope, flight name. We can do flight name. Let's see if we can do division. We can. So if you have a golf, now the problem with this is, as most of you know, within a league, we don't know which flight or division you're in, because there is a skins division, and then maybe there is a net division, and you are in the first flight in the skins division, but the second flight in the net division. Just be careful with using that, and you may want to test it to make sure it works, because we would probably put both of the divisions and both of the flights in that composed email, and a golfer may get confused as to which division and or flight they are a part of. I would say if it's only one flight within a round, okay, you're in the first flight on our low gross, low net tournament, that may be appropriate. But I would say just kind of do some testing, because I haven't tested too much with divisions and flights in a composed email, just because, as you know, as you've seen on a pairings page, you may see 3 or 4 flights within a player's profile based off of the flights that they've been selected for in those particular rounds and tournaments. So that might be something you'd want to test a little bit, Barb.
Okay, thank you there. Next up, we just have a comment here. Gina, texting is a great feature when there's a rainout and you need to notify the league. Yes, we use that a lot here at the CGA. I would second that comment. We have a couple from Kristen. Can you add
Yeah.
links, attachments, etc. for both email and text communications? And also, are there any formatting restrictions for attachments?
As far as email, yes, we can attach a link if you need to. And then you can also have an attachment to an email. As far as a text message, we don't have the ability to add a file attachment, but you can add a link to a text message that would push a golfer to a specific URL web address. And as far as formatting on attachments, I don't believe there are many restrictions, especially within an email, because it can be as large or as small of a file as you would like within that particular attachment.
Okay, so regarding text messages, does it simply require a phone number and player registration, or how does that work?
For text messages in the profile, we need a new custom field called mobile number. And as long as we have a valid 10-digit number, we will send out a text message. You can have dashes, you can have spaces, anything that you want, as long as you have it is valid. I could have it with no spaces. I could put some parentheses around the area code if I wanted to. As long as this is filled out invalid, we will send that text message and we will recognize it as a valid mobile number.
So it uses phone number, not phone, for text messages.
Well, I've got so many custom fields in here, it doesn't really matter. But what will happen is, because I have phone number and phone, this is my test account. I'm in here all the time. I'm messing around with it. What you need to make sure that you do, if you are sending out a text message, we need to choose the proper data field or the proper custom field when sending that out. So you can see here, I've got in mine, I've got cell phone, I've got phone number, I've got phone, I've got work phone. I've just been in here so much. Normally, you're probably only going to have mobile phone in here, but maybe I have different data fields. But as long as we have that custom field, and as long as those numbers are contained within those cells of that custom field, we would send that to those recipients. So my example isn't really great because I have 4 different custom fields for phone number in my account. You're probably only going to have one mobile number, and then you just specify that custom field that you want to pull from. Because if I do this, I have a feeling if I can't remember which one I put it in. If I do phone number, sorry. Or actually, let me do phone. If I do phone, 0 recipients. I do not have a custom field answer under phone. I have it under cell phone or phone number. So just make sure you've got that nice and clean in your roster to where the custom field has those numbers in the columns below.
Right. So the key part of my question is, it doesn't matter if it's phone, cell phone, mobile number. It's whatever the default phone is that you're going to use for text messages
Yes, sir.
in your player registration.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's all I need to know. Thank you.
Okay,
I
great.
have a question on that
perfect.
topic as well.
Okay.
What do you mean a custom field? It looks like it's a field that's an option we can add to our database.
And that's what I mean by a custom field. So
Okay.
these are fields that I've added. So if I come to my league roster, you're going to see over here, I got a ton of them. I've got a ton of custom fields. So if you need to add something in here, you can always come into your league tab, come into custom fields, and then maybe I wanted to add a new one. And then I could answer this yes or no. And like I say, this is just would be okay, I've got a 102 training participant. I didn't spell that right, but I can now come into my league roster. And if I wanted to change this, be like, yep, you know what? Justin, he did attend the 102 training. I could come into my custom fields and I could say yes. And now this custom field is now attached to my profile.
And but it's not displayed on this screen that I'm looking at anywhere.
I don't know if I've selected it, because if I wanted to, I would have to just select it.
And
I
then
could
it would-
select all these, but it gets so long.
Okay,
maybe
maybe
you don't-
another column.
Right, yeah, I would have to come
Okay,
down.
okay.
Yep,
Okay.
great question.
Perfect.
All
Then we
right,
have one last one here.
Okay,
Is
and then
the
we'll-
plan to be able to modify the column width in GG, specifically on the golfers roster page, which is
this one right here.
Yeah.
I haven't heard of anything. It looks like it definitely truncates based off of the information. If you have an example where you may not be seeing the information, let me know,
it's-
but
Justin, it's not that, it's the amount of space between like actions and entry, and then
Mhm.
entry and handle. I'm talking about truncating all the space in
this
between.
here,
Yeah, so that when you actually bring up the roster, you can see what's going on, because we just had a circumstance where we weren't even aware that way off to the right-hand side, if we hadn't scrolled over there, we had someone who wasn't registered.
right?
And then after we dug into it, we found out the reason the person wasn't registered was because during registration, she was one of the people that got a bounce back in an email. She told me, I want to change my email address. And when we changed it during registration and then registration closed, she was unregistered because her email address got changed during the registration process.
Okay.
So that was a big lesson on don't ever change anybody's email during registration because it gets they're unregistered at that point. And we didn't know it because it was sitting way off to the right-hand side of there. Yep.
Okay. Yep. We can certainly make that smaller, but let me just touch on that point. She was unregistered to access the portal with an email and address. She was not taken out of the roster. So we can
Correct.
certainly, if we have some time at the end, I'll kind of explain the difference between registered to an event or league as opposed to registered to access the portal. But we can certainly discuss that. I want to make sure we get everything taken care of. And if we need to go a little bit after top of the hour to kind of go over the difference between those, because it is a little it's a little vague, I guess you could say, in how we describe those terms. Let's table that. But like I say, what you could always do if you needed to, again, it's not ideal. I will certainly submit that as a feature request. You can always bring these and move them if you need a field that needs to be seen and is crucially needed to be seen. You can always drag those fields and get them to appear on the left-hand side of that roster.
Piece. And we figured it out after digging into it. But
Okay.
like that big long title up there, that could
Sure.
be, wrapped text.
Sure.
So that it doesn't take up, that much
Yeah.
space.
Right, great idea,
Okay.
because the answer is yes or no. I've got all this white space next to
Yeah,
next to
that's
that.
kind of what I'm
Okay.
getting at.
Okay,
Thank
great.
you.
The column widths are too long.
Okay, fantastic. I will certainly submit that in, see if we can't improve with the UI of our roster. So if everybody's okay, certainly can still answer some other questions regarding communication, but definitely kind of want to get into divisions, flights, and teams. Okay, great. And then it sounds like sounds like very knowledgeable people on the call. So hopefully, some of this information isn't, redundant, or again, if it is, that's fine. Maybe you'll learn something that you haven't in the past, and maybe there are some on the call who haven't spoke up with a question who are getting, the benefit of some of what we're talking about today. So we're going to go into divisions, flights, and teams. And what are those? And a lot of people are like, well, your terminology is way different than what I used to use or what I use at my facility. And you are correct. I didn't use some of the terminology in Golf Genius when I was working green grass. But I've learned to just accept that this is the terminology and we need to understand how to use it and when to use it. So within divisions, what I like to do here is I like to think of, I can be in as many divisions as allocated. Obviously, this would be a men's senior or men's division for me, but for those of you women on the call, you could certainly be in the women's division, and you could also be in the senior women's division, possibly. Maybe you're playing a club championship and everything's from the same tees. Be like, you know what? I want to play against, the younger women, and then I want to play against the women of my age. So we could be in two different divisions and we would be scored accordingly based off of those two different divisions. But then within flights within a division, I can only be within one flight within that division. Maybe I'm in the first flight in the men's division and I'm in the second flight in the men's senior division. That's a great way to think about it. I can be in as many divisions as possible, but only one flight within those divisions. Within flights, we can certainly create flights by number of golfers in a flight. We can create a number of flights and put those golfers in there equally, or we can also determine a maximum handicap index so that we put golfers of the same ability into each one of these flights, but they might not be equal. We may have fewer golfers in our lower index flights, probably the most golfers in our kind of medium range, and then maybe a different amount in our higher range. So it's not going to be equal, but we can certainly build out flights based off of these three different attributes. Teams, we may need teams, you may not. And those of you who are new to the system, like those of you who used TPP in the past, you always had to create a team list if there was more than one player playing. Teams are only needed if you are playing either more than one round, and you need those teams to be utilized in those multiple rounds, and we'll get to that in the member guest scenario, or if it is a one-round flighted event, meaning I've got 4-player teams and I need to flight those teams. So we would have to build teams for this one-round flighted event. If it's non-flighted, we don't need to build teams, and we can use the foursome versus field option. You can still build teams, but it's just an extra step that may not be needed. When creating teams, if we're using registration, we can create teams based off of team ID. We can manually create the pairings, which sometimes needs to be done, or we can create teams based off of the pairings. If we've got our pairings created, maybe we create an ABCD pairing, which I've kind of got in here as an example. I create those pairings, I create the teams based off of the pairings, and then I flight those teams based off of whatever my index parameters are for that particular flighting mechanism. And then the golfers versus round DFT. This is what got me this. I had a tough time with this when I first started on support. When do I build a division flight or team at the golfer level? Or when do I build a division flight or team at the round level? The best way to think about this, if we need to use a division, a flight, or a team for more than one round, maybe it's all rounds, maybe it's just 2 or 3 rounds, we're going to build that division flight, a team under the golfers tab, so that then we can use that division flight or team for multiple rounds if we need to. That would be your scenario. Maybe you do a season-long match play or team match play, where it's a round robin, where 2 players play another 2 players in a match play each week, and we do a round robin schedule. We would need to build that team list under the golfers tab so it could be used for all rounds. Maybe you have a skins division where you pay a particular amount at the beginning of the year, and that gets you into skins for the entire season. You would build a skins division, and that would be built under the golfers tab. The rounds division, again, that is just what it means. We are building a division, flight, and team for that one particular round. More times than not for men's league, let's say on your Sunday men's day, you have an optional skins division that you can get in to that division for each one of those Sunday rounds. But you want to be in week 1, yes, I'm going to get into the skins division. So that would be a round division for week 1. And we would confirm the appropriate golfers into that particular round. And then for round 2, we would need another optional skins division. And that next week, I forgot my wallet, or I'm not feeling like I'm going to get a skin that week, I wouldn't confirm myself into that particular round division.
Baby.
So hopefully, you know, we're going to kind of get in here to kind of discuss this in greater length so that you can, oops, minimize this. Oh, so that we can kind of see the difference in what I'm speaking towards as far as a golfers divisions, flights as teams, and a round divisions, flights and teams. So for our club championship, sometimes your club championship is going to be standalone. Sometimes it will be within a league. It certainly depends on how you build this out. But if we have our club championship built out within our league, well, we need to build out our divisions under the golfers tab, leagues, divisions, flights, and teams. So as you can see here, I have built out a club championship senior women I've built out a club championship women, and I have built out those 8 golfers and building out flights based off of certain parameters. So now when I go in and apply this towards my multi-round tournament, I can use those 2 different divisions to score that particular event for those 3 rounds. Same thing with my member guest, which we'll get into in a moment as well. I've built a member guest division under the golfers tab. Now, some of you who use round signups, and this is kind of getting a little bit deep, but those of you, let's say you did use round signups to sign up these golfers for your club championship. Well, we have 2 ways to get them into the golfers tab. We can certainly build out divisions under the rounds tab and then promote them to the golfers division. And what I mean by that is, if I have, let's say this is just, for all practical purposes, just going to be a club championship. And all 16 of these players say, yes, I want to play, excuse me, in the club championship. Well, I could certainly observe them and go into my golfers tab, build that division, and manually add them to that division. But kind of a best practice, and what you may want to do moving forward, is come into your rounds tab, into your rounds, divisions, flights, and teams. And we don't have spell check here, so. So we're going to build a championship division. We're going to call it 102 so it doesn't get confused with these other ones that I'd already built. And then when I go to next, what I can do is I have 16 golfers confirmed. Another best practice here, I can certainly select these golfers one at a time. That would require 16 clicks. Or I could say, you know what, I'm going to add multiple golfers. Click Cheryl, click Justin. I've now added all of these golfers with 4 clicks as opposed to 16 clicks. And now all of these golfers are contained within my division. But what you're going to see is, wait a minute, I've created this as a round division. I can't use this for all 3 rounds of my club championship. But what I can do is I can now promote this division to the league. Instead of having to manually create this division by selecting those 16 players who said, yes, I'm going to play, I can now promote this division to the league, and now it is available for use for a multi-round tournament because I've now promoted it to a league division. And then if I wanted to go in and flight these golfers, I'll kind of touch on how we can flight golfers. Again, we can certainly create them manually if I wanted to. Don't see that very often. We can create based off of handicap index, playing handicap, which there may be a question or two regarding creating flights based off playing handicap. We can address those if there are any. Normally, I like to use handicap index to reduce confusion based off of playing handicap, but some people will use playing handicap. Number of golfers per flight. Maybe there are 5 golfers per flight. Maybe there are a number of flights where I'm going to build 3 flights. And then this is the option. If I had, let's do 2 flights, so it'll be, we'll do 4 flights. If I did 4 flights, my 16 players, I would build 4 flights of 4 golfers per flight because we said, yes, we want to make it equal. Now, if I want to specify the maximum handicap index for each flight, I can certainly do so. And then on the next page, I'm going to say my 0 to 10 are in flight 1, my 10.1 to 20 are in flight 2, 20.1 to 30 in flight 3, so on and so forth. So I can certainly select some maximums. Am I in the wrong spot? I am in the wrong spot. So did you see that pop up there? Great mistake that I just made. I was in my leagues, I was in my round tab, and I was trying to make a flight oops, wrong one. I was trying to make a flight for my club championship. But then what it said was, hey, wait a minute, are you in the right spot? So let me just do this quick, 2 number of flights, come to next. I'm about to create a flight within a single round and will be available only in this round. Well, this is not what I want to do. I'm trying to create flights for my club championship. So this is a great pop-up. Nope, I don't want to do that. I'm in the wrong spot. I'm in the wrong place. I need to go to my golfers tab, leagues, divisions, flights, and teams. And now my championship division, I could manage this appropriately to where now these flights will be used for the duration of my club championship. By setting up an index, maybe I want it to be 1 through 15. And then only 3 golfers. Okay, well, that's fine. And then I like to go 99 just to make sure we get all golfers in here. If you did 36, and then you might have some golfers who are above a 36, they might not be in there. You know, if you want everyone to get in, I usually go 99 just so that we know that we're going to include all golfers. Because I've set this up with a different parameter, notice my first flight is 3 golfers, second flight is 13 golfers, just because I specified a maximum handicap index. If I had not done that, this would have been 8, or this would have been 8 golfers, and this would have been 8 golfers if I had divided them equally. My teams, again, I'm not going to go too deep into teams unless there are people on the call who speak up and want me to show that, because I'm trying to kind of get through this for some Q&A at the end. But again, my team list, if I am building a team list for multiple rounds, I am going to create my team list within my golfers, divisions, flights, and teams. And then I am going to create my team lists, again, either manually. I can use a custom field. If you are on premium and you have a registration, we can use the team ID for registration. We can use entry numbers. So if you are entering golfers in your roster in sequential order, we can certainly create teams using an entry number. And then if I've created pairings, I can automatically create teams using pairings. And just to kind of show you what that was done within a cha-cha-cha round, I created pairings based off of A, B, C, D. And then within, I didn't have to build a division here. Someone kind of corrected me in one of our webinars. I don't have to build a cha-cha-cha division. But I created a division based off of pairings. And then I created my team list based off of pairings. So that ABCD, we can't really build that any other way. But if I needed a new team list, I could certainly create my team list based off of the pairings. I can create 2-person teams. I can create, a wheel team if I need to, or I can certainly create teams based off of the pairing group, which was what I had built for foursomes. So a number of ways that we can create teams. Just know that if you are not flighting an event, you do not need a team list. You can use your pair versus field or foursome versus field option. So hopefully I didn't confuse anybody too much on there. Any questions regarding divisions, flights, and teams before we kind of focus in on multi-round tournaments and linked tournaments and just the difference between those?
Perfect. We have 3, and I think in the interest of time, we should probably just have these 3 and anything others said at the end of the session. But the first one is more of a comment from Beverly. I'll let the group kind of read that.
Okay.
The second one would be, when we have a multi-round tournament like Club Championship, do we enter the purse information in the final round information? I think we're going to go over that here in the next session, correct?
Yep. We'll do that. Please show teams are doing a couple of 2-person team events. Hopefully that second question, let's see here. These are all from Beverly, so let's just read these real quick. Senate Club Championship over the weekend. Key takeaway for me was that we need to have the players who are playing in the round before you can set up the flights. Yes, of course. That is something that we do need because we don't auto-fill. It'd be great if we did, if be like, hey, I need these parameters and I need to put these players in there. But right now, what we have to do is we need that subset of players so that we can then flight them accordingly, because if we set 3 flights, we'd be moving stuff around so much. And I don't know if we have that algorithm where, let's say you have 9 ladies in the flight and then you add 3 more. Well, based off of their playing handicap or their index, that's going to reshuffle all of those women within those flights. So you are correct. We need a roster of players before we can build the flights. We will touch on the purse information here in a moment, and then show the teams doing a couple of 2-person team events. Again, we can build those either manually or based off of team ID, or depending on how we get them into the roster, again, maybe based off of the pairings as well. So we can certainly touch on that at the end if we need to. Perfect. Thanks, Bev. So let's kind of move on here. We got about half an hour, maybe spend another 10 minutes on multi-round tournaments and link tournaments, and then save about 15 minutes for Q&A. So
Yep.
multi-round tournament. Is that good, Aaron?
Oh, yep. I was just going to
Okay,
say,
great.
Dan and Donna, we'll get to your question at that time. Okay.
All right, great. Thanks, guys.
Sure.
So within a multi-round tournament, a tournament that is more than 1 round, obviously, thus the given name, multi-round tournament. We have a couple ways that we can make multi-round tournaments. Under your leagues tab, because we're now working globally, so to speak, we're not working within 1 round, we're working within multiple rounds, kind of. So kind of hold that thought and be like, wait a minute, I've got this other scenario. Within my multi-round tournament, if the format is the same for all 3 rounds, we are going to build a multi-round tournament. Your 3-round stroke play club championship, your season-long ringer tournament. All of these formats are the same, so that then we can utilize this multi-round tournament format to build out, yes, I'm going to use my club championship, or I'm going to name it club championship. I'm going to use my 3 rounds that I have designated in my calendar tab to build out my 3 rounds. I'm going to choose my appropriate divisions that I've built in the golfers tab. And then I'm going to set it up accordingly based off of the competition. Player versus flight, great. Any type of tiebreakers that needed to be involved. Is it a net tournament? Am I biasing this tournament? Which I'm sure most on the call are experienced with. But if you are paying out gross and net and you can't win both, we can set up a biased tournament where if I were to win low gross and low net, I would get the gross finish position, and then we would look at the next net player. Because this is a multi-round tournament, and we possibly may want to award a purse and points, if it's the same, we can put it here in our gross purse and net purse spots. But if we have divisions and flight set up and the purses are not the same, we can always go into purse and points for divisions and flights. This may be if you have a different number of players in each flight and you need to make that purse relative to the number of players. Or let's just say, you know what, our senior women for flight 1, we're going to pay out, $50 for gross, $50 for net, just 1 position. Flight 2, we're going to do the same, maybe 50 gross, 50 net. And then for my women, we're going to pay 2 positions. We're going to do 100, 50, 100, and 50. And then it does take a little bit of time to do this because it is a little different, just because we need to put in figures for all the divisions and all of the flights. But if I do it this way, we can now differentiate a couple of years ago, we couldn't, and you had to manually adjust the leaderboard. So this certainly has gotten better. But now I've put in my payouts for my two divisions, where the women's division is gaining a little bit more purse. The senior women has a little less purse. So we could put it in there. And then once that round is completed, we can certainly view those results on the leaderboard. And again, you don't have to put a purse and points into the tournament. It's kind of 50-50, because let's say, you know, you put it in ahead of time and then you have some people cancel. Well, you've got a little less purse and points that you have to divvy out. Maybe you can go back and edit that after the fact if you want to. You can certainly do that if you need, or we've also seen it done another way where golfers can, or excuse me, managers can enter in the person points on the leaderboard after the fact. I don't really know one being better than the other. Certainly putting it in ahead of time may take care of ties if you have ties, so that we divide that purse accordingly. Or if you've got a spreadsheet and you know what you need to pay out and allocate via you know, your manual calculations that you're observing in front of you, you know, we can always come in and adjust that leaderboard after the fact. So you're going to see here my club championship. I've got my senior women where Jane got $50. Janet, she got her $50. These have paid out in 2 spots. But if I did not put a person points in here ahead of time, I can always come up to this rescore, print, adjust leaderboard, adjust that leaderboard, and then populate my own purser points. Look, I won. How am I doing? What did I shoot? 47 over? That's about right. So if I needed to change this, that if there wasn't a person here, you could certainly always put that in there. Or if for some reason, well, Justin, you're a man, you don't qualify, you don't get any money. And then we could look at Janice and give her the appropriate points, and that would be adjusted. So again, we can put it in ahead of time or after the fact. That is for a multi-round tournament, the round tournaments that are the same. Now we may have a scenario, member guest, a women's member guest is the scenario that I like to use, is what we always did. And the fact that I'm not generalizing here, but most women don't like to play match play. You know, it's more fun to kind of just go out and play around with your other ladies. And yes, it's competitive, but I'm not trying to beat you in a match play. So sometimes we will see a women's member guest where they play a better ball of partners, alternate shot, or scramble. And that's not to say that men don't play that either, but it's just kind of what we see for some ladies member guests. Well, that's a little bit different. I can't create a multi-round tournament because the formats are different. I'm playing a better ball, scramble, and alternate shot. So what we would have to do, and what we've done here, is we have built out in your golfers tab, we have built out a member guest with 16 golfers in that division, with 8 teams and 2 flights within that division. Then what we have to do is within each round, we have a member guest better ball, member guest scramble, member guest alternate shot. Within each one of these rounds, we can build out that tournament to represent that better ball competition using my member guest division, team pair versus flight. Yes, it's a best ball. And notice here what I've done is I've paid out day money. So I'll be like, you know what? This is a 3-round tournament that we are going to generate an aggregate for, but I'm also giving you the ability to win day money. So I've built out a member guest tournament with a purse in round 1. I've built out a scramble in round 2. And then in round 3, I have built in my alternate shot format, all with day money. Now, to get these to aggregate together, that's great. We're going to get individual round results, but to get them to aggregate together under the league tab again, under my multi-round tournaments, I have a linked tournament. And that linked tournament is an aggregate of my member guest better ball, member guest scramble, member guest alternate shot. Now, I want to show you what it looks like beforehand. In a league environment, we've got all of our rounds. right? I don't need to link it with my club championship. I don't need to link it with my net club championship. So keep in mind, excuse me, if that was just a 3-round tournament, I wouldn't have all of this information here. But if you are doing this within a league, just please make sure that you are choosing from the proper round and the proper tournament. And then once I've done that, a lot of this other stuff disappeared because I can't have an individual stroke play linked with a team better ball, alternate shot, or scramble. So that's why some of these other tournaments disappeared. So once they do reappear, or excuse me, once they disappeared, I have a better chance at choosing the proper tournaments. And now I have saved, I need to show you one other thing. I've now saved my linked tournament. We can build in a purse and points as well if we need to add purse and points to this linked tournament. So I have day money, but I also have a purse available for the overall aggregate winner. So I've built my linked tournament. I've scored my 3 rounds. And then this is probably, since I changed that linked tournament, it's probably going to rescore. Yep, sorry about that. But now what we're going to do is we are aggregating all of our 3 rounds, better ball, scramble, and alternate shot into an aggregate so that we come up with our overall member guest winner. So link tournaments are great when you're starting to, but keep in mind, I can't link a stroke play and a Stableford. That's not compatible. I can't link a match play and a stroke play. The formats have to be the same. I can certainly link a Stableford scramble, Stableford alternate shot, Stableford best 4 balls on each hole. I can certainly link those together so that, yes, I'm going to have my day results of my flights, but then at the end, once the member guest is over, I've got my better ball, my scramble, and my alternate shot linked together for a final result. So hopefully that gives you a better understanding of multi-round tournaments, formats that are all the same, linked tournaments, different formats, but it's counting the same, standard deviation of stroke play, Stableford match play. We can certainly aggregate those to give you an overall result of those 3 rounds. So an hour and 40 minutes, that's enough for me. I appreciate everyone's time. And now we do have about 20 minutes for any questions, if anyone has any.
Yep. Let's go back to Dan and Donna's. So their question is, what is best practice for teams in a single round, like a 2-man best ball? Players choose partners and flight those teams by handicap.
So are you on premium or TM Club?
Premium.
Okay.
I have access to both, but the
Okay.
league is in premium.
Okay. Normally, so what I would do in that scenario, we can certainly use round signups where you would allow a player to sign up another player through round signups. And then we have what's called a round team ID where we can create the teams based off of that round team ID. It's not real clear though, because if you were to add a player manually to the roster, if I were to sign up individually, I wouldn't have another player to create that team list for because it doesn't recognize based off of the sign up.
Right.
So it's either maybe creating pairings and then creating teams based off of your pairings, or on the premium, I don't know if you've seen or utilized the open tee time feature, but that's where we can build a pairing. Now this is a little different because you are confirming all of your golfers and then they're telling you, no, I'm not going to play. But for some of these specific rounds where, hey, I am going to sign up with my playing partner, we can create what's called an open tee times pairings page. Golfers go to the portal and they sign themselves up and their partner up in positions 1 and 2, 3 and 4 respectively.
Right.
Then we can create that team list based off of pairings, and then we can flight that team list.
And those flights would only be for that team, and I can set parameters for how to do the flights, etc.
Correct.
Just
Yeah.
like okay.
Yep, after you have your team list built, let me go to this cha one. Let's say it was a 2-person team. So I've got my team list built. I've got my, let's go, which one do we want to use here? I guess we'll use this one. So we've got 8 teams, 8 2-person teams. Actually, this one's pretty good. And then if I wanted to manage my flights by teams, I've got them created somehow manually by pairings, however that is. And then we could certainly choose your option as to how you wanted to flight those teams.
Right.
Combined handicap index, maybe the lowest handicap index of a player on the team. You've got
Right.
all these options. Normally, obviously, combined is the
Routine way to do
prevalent.
it. Yeah.
And then there is a tie breaking. Let's say there are 2 teams with the same combined handicap index. Very rare because of the decimal points that are being used. But if we did, we could certainly use a tie breaking method to flight those teams accordingly.
So it's easier. I guess my real question is, sometimes if I have a 2-man best ball or something, I just create the 2-man teams manually. There's not a really simple way to do it other than let them register as 2-man teams, or we just create them when they tell us who they're playing with.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's all I need to know. Thanks.
Yep. Well, and hopefully coming soon. I mean, we've been working on it for a couple of years. We are trying to improve our round sign up feature for premium users so that it kind of works the same with registration, where we are going to make you sign up as 2-person teams for a round.
Mhm.
And then we will have a better utilization of the custom field team ID to automatically create those teams.
Yeah, the same
So-
argument holds for a 4-man team, but that's a bigger nightmare.
Yeah, and we see people scrap that a lot, unless you're adding blinds or something like that, just because of the fact that one guy bows out and well,
Yeah.
okay, now what do I do?
Yeah, we had that just the other day.
I'm sure, yeah, it sounds like you've experienced that. So we've seen a lot more leagues kind of stray away from those 4-person league rounds just for that reason.
Yep. Okay, thanks.
Now, yep. Now, if you don't flight it, it's fine. And then you just add a blind to the pairing group and it is what it is. So it's a 4-person better ball of partners. I cancel. Okay, fine. Let's just put a blind in there. It gets a little trickier when you're using flighted teams and trying to use blind players, because then you have to add that player to the team and they can get paid out twice. So there are some idiosyncrasies of, as you probably realize, with 4-person flighted teams.
Right. I tend to stray away from it.
Yep. Smart.
All right, thanks.
Yep, you bet. Let's see here.
Thank you. We got one more on the chat line anyway. Is it best to set up a separate event for a member guest so that the guests can register in GG and not affect the league roster?
Good point there. Probably yes. Now that guest is only going to appear probably in your player league standings at the bottom of your player league standings, because they're only playing in one event if you are awarding aggregate purse or points. So I guess it's going to be up to you, Gina. If you're okay with having the guest appear in your results in the league, okay, fine, do it within the league. Or if you don't want them to appear and you want to keep your league clean, we conduct your member guest outside of your league. And then if we need to add purse or points to that league based off of the member guest results, we kind of add in, quote unquote, a dummy round, and maybe add a user scored tournament, and then add in the purse or points that the women accumulated outside of the league, so that if it does need to be aggregated into your league results, we kind of can manually put those in after the fact with this quote unquote dummy round. Does that make sense? Okay, great, perfect. All right, so we got that one answered. Fantastic. Got a few more minutes. Anyone else have any questions, comments, concerns?
All right.
Okay.
Perfect.
Well, I'm going to do this then. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Again, thanks everyone for all the questions. Hopefully you're getting something out of this. Hopefully we're trying to make it as easy as possible for you to navigate the system, because I'm sure most of you who have used this have, like I have wanted to kind of take your computer and throw it out the window. That's not our intent. Our intent is to get you to use this, become proficient, and enjoy tournament management, which hopefully after getting comfortable with the navigation makes it a lot easier for that to happen. So I want to thank Aaron and the CGA for giving me the time to present today, and I'll leave it at that, thanking everyone, and I'll pass it along to Aaron to wrap it up.